Welcome to the Temple of Enki. My name is Max. I am the Temple Ipsissimus. I am a channeler, an oracle of Enki and the Anunnaki gods. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about demonic integration. Demonic integration is a very left-hand path concept and alchemical process. Essentially, the demons, being genius spirits, daemons, from Greek mythology, geniuses, daemons, genies, demons are the entities between gods and mankind. So when we're integrating our demonic nature, right, because we have a demonic nature too. So demonic integration is very self-explanatory. We are integrating our demonic side, our demonic nature. And this has a lot to do with the Sumerian myths of Marduk, the son of Enki, creating mankind alongside other gods too, with the blood of the gods, but also the blood of the demons, like Kingu. And while the Anunnaki were known as beings that came from the sky, that came from the heavens, the demons were known to be creations, beings that were terrestrial in nature. They did not come from the heavens. They came from the inner chaos of the earth, or Tiamat, or Ki. So they're very opposing in that sense. One comes from the sky, and the other comes from the earth. And we have the same concept in Norse mythology also. We have the Norse gods, the Aesir, that live in Asgard, in the heavens, right, at the top of the tree of life. And we have the giants, the Jotuns, the serpent-like beings that live in the chaotic depths and the Qliphoth. So there's two templates. And we can see a lot of humanity in more of the terrestrial energies. Most people do not have the same access to the higher chakras, to the heavenly spheres. Most people are still in the reptilian brain. They're in the demonic serpent brain. And that's not a bad thing. It's healthy to have this part of you, but it has to be integrated. And that is the whole point of demonic integration. It's to understand yourself, your earthly nature. It's to understand purgatory. It's to understand your reptilian nature. Because we are somewhat reptilian beings to a degree. That's why the pharaohs have serpents popping out of their head. Because we have a 3-spiral force at the base of our spine, known as the Kundalini. And this is the part of ourselves that we have to master. That's why Kundalini yoga is known to be very dangerous, and some people actually demonize it a lot. Because when you awaken your Kundalini, you are in essence uprooting everything in your unconscious mind, and sometimes it's not very pretty. Your Kundalini fell from heaven and into the terrestrial plane. It's in the realm of the giants. It's feeding into the senses. It's asleep. It's in tamas. It's not in light. It's not enlightened. So it's still sleeping. It's in its slumber. It's consuming. Like that's the state humanity is in. Very consuming, social media, doom scrolling, right? Getting distracted by the senses. Feeding into material security, stability, sexual indulgence, pornography, and all these things keep you in your quote-unquote demonic nature. But when you're integrating it properly, you learn to respect the cycles between your angelic self and your demonic self, between sattva and tamas. You learn to circulate that balance. You learn to have that rhythm. Because in order to stay on Earth, you got to have some form of desire. That's just inevitable. You have to have some sort of desire. But if you want to be like a genie, like a god on Earth, you have to have demonic integration, and that also comes with restraint. It comes with starving the senses, raising your earthly self out of its bonds, out of its chains, so that you can tap into the astral light, so that you can see your own unconscious mind, see where you've been sleeping, where you've been dormant. So that is the basis of your daemonic integration, is to rekindle that fire, your Kundalini energy, to break through the weakness, to break through those blockages, and to see where you're compromising yourself, to see where you're feeding more karma, right? Because when you're tapping into your unconscious, you're seeing where you're leaking energy, which relationships are toxic, what parts of you are toxic that are holding on to toxic situations. So this form of integration in that sense can be pretty intense, okay? It's very upfront. There's no wiggle room at all. It's like a thunderbolt. So be prepared for that, because you're going to see yourself, the earth, and the heavens. You're going to be able to see these things, these three layers of existence, much more clearly. And it can be quite overwhelming because, there's a lot of memory in the earth. There's a lot in the unconscious mind people are not aware of. Literally self-explanatory. And it can protect you a lot from black magic too. If your unconscious mind is integrated, you're fully in your alpha and omega, right? You're the source code, right? You're not unconscious anymore. There's no wiggle room for any quote unquote black magic being casted onto you either, because you become the black and the white. You become the light and the darkness and everything in between. Demonic integration in that sense is a unraveling of the ego, of the soul, from illusion to become the inner genie, to become Shiva, to become Krishna, to become the source. And the 72 demons of the Goetia, which I made a video of previously, play a big part in this, being the 72 aspects of the unconscious mind. They play a big deal in the collective unconscious and unraveling your own unconscious powers. But what does it actually mean? How does a person actually integrate their demonic nature? That's the question, right? So I'll tell you. In your pineal gland, or your third eye chakra, let's say, in your third eye chakra, there are an extra 72,000 chakras, okay? These are the sands of time, if you will. So when we activate all those 72,000 sub-chakras in the third eye, you begin to activate those dormant primal channels that once fell from heaven back into heaven. And this is where we get a lot of our astral powers, or the powers of the genie, okay? So when you're raising your Kundalini, you're essentially raising your unconscious self back into super consciousness. And these 72 demons are the aspects of the Kundalini energy. So from my experience, the goddess Shakti, from my communication with her, calls these 72 spirits or demons the 72 Nagas. And the Nagas are known to be serpentine beings. So in a sense, from my own personal gnosis, take with a grain of salt, these 72 Nagas seem to be aspects of the Kundalini energy itself. So everything the Kundalini has to understand about itself through the wheel of time, what you need to understand about yourself through the wheel of time, once it is all unraveled and that enlightenment is achieved, that is when the Kundalini rises. And so there's a karmic cleansing, an integration that takes place. You have to experience and learn and feel certain things in order to be really ready for that experience. So it is a naturally unfolding process. It can be accelerated with purification, with training. But that is the essence of your demonic integration. Your true self, your true body is like a light body. It's like a solar body. But when we fell from heaven, or the Garden of Eden, our energies became much more dense. And then the physical body formed after we mixed the blood with the demons. Okay? So the physical body started to become a thing and it had its own energy channels. So we bring that divine light, the white light, into these naga spirits within the legs, the jinn spirits within the legs, within the genitals, within the lower chakras. And we slowly illuminate them. And when they are ready, when you experience and unpack the karma you're supposed to heal and become aware of, these beings naturally rise within you. It's a collective energy that is you. There are parts of you. And they naturally rise and they pop up the pineal gland. And you become the light of the world. And essentially, when this happens, you see a lot of the horrors of humanity. You see a lot of the struggles of humanity. And before you get to that point, you have to cleanse yourself of judgment. You have to have an understanding of human struggle, human pain, the DNA trauma, and fallen consciousness humanity has experienced. Demonic integration in that sense is understanding how mankind fell from heaven. Okay? How we got so disconnected from nature and from God and from the source of creation. So it is a arduous, harsh process. It can be simplified, but if you're on the left-hand path and you're purely in that realm, it's rough. And some people like it that way. Some people like the burn. But my experience with demonic integration, as much as I work with angels, it's still really hard. And, I would do it all over again. I really would. It's helped me a lot with understanding my pain from a younger age and what I could be in the future if I healed, and seeing who I really am. Because when you dive into that unconscious, when you see what drove you into demon mode, in a sense, you mature a lot. And you actually start to become the man or the woman you were always meant to be. So this process can take years, as it should. It should not be done in one go. It can't be done in one go. And if some people do have spontaneous Kundalini awakenings, it can fry their nervous system. It can make them paranoid. It can make them have schizophrenic symptoms. And there's ways to deal with that and reverse that. But it is more of a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle of studying yourself, not judging yourself, and understanding humanity and growing into more unconditional love with a balance of tough love. So we're not judging the darkness here, We're not judging any spirit. We are simply becoming more aware of our lower nature. And there's no judgment in that. You have to start looking at your human nature and any quote-unquote lower spirit as a child. And there are beings that are, again, pure evil, but we do not call them demons. They are not demons. They're a completely different class of beings. So when we're dealing with these demons, it's to simply unlock that unconscious, dormant, genie energy. It is fiery intelligence. It's beyond thinking. It's a form of awareness that creates thoughts. So it's not something most people are accustomed to, because we're so much in our heads and our emotions and our bodies that we rarely actually experience a genie type of consciousness or fourth dimensional consciousness. So when you illuminate your lower bodies, your unconscious mind from the illusion, you tap into that inner genie, or genies in this sense, you become a fully integrated being, okay? And once you've actually uncovered yourself, once you've seen the collective unconscious, the evil, quote unquote, you have to then rediscover who you are within all of that. And that is where you discover your true self or your higher self. So it is, in a sense, a global consciousness. So think of the Anunnaki as the higher mind, okay? And the 72 Nagas and the spirits of the underworld as your reptilian brain. And you're the mammal brain. You're the human being. You're the third eye. So you're in the middle. So the head's like the sky, the upper brain's like the sky, the base of the skull is the earth, and you're the man or woman living in the middle of the brain, in the pineal gland. After that point, the head becomes the planet. Because the spirits of the earth have merged with you at your pineal gland, your head becomes the planet. Okay? Your head becomes the planet, and then you become a giant head. It's very multi-dimensional, because what's happening is all your nadis, all your meridians are now recircuiting back to your pineal gland. Okay? So now you're a solar being. Everything's complete. Everything's accomplished. You no longer need food. You don't need to drink. You don't need to eat. You don't need to sleep, because you're like an angel now. It's angelic metamorphosis. So demonic integration, in a sense, is just angelic metamorphosis. It's raising those jinn spirits back into the heavens and going through the alchemical process of unraveling your unconscious mind and illuminating it in a way that doesn't drive you crazy, and you become a solar body, a solar being. So in a sense, you become like a literal head, because after that point, you can levitate, you can lift things with your mind. Like, it just becomes mental. Like, your entire body, almost in a way, folds into your pineal gland. And then your pineal gland encompasses your body. And after that point, it's just mental. So you become more of a toroidal being. You become a genie. The genie's out of the lamp now. So how can you start tapping into demonic integration? How can you start this process? Well, the way I've been doing this personally is, I work with the Anunnaki, I work with the gods, I work with the Olympians, I work with various spirits. I've personally done a lot of my demonic integration with psychedelics, especially psilocybin. I've noticed psilocybin has been something that really helped me understand myself, my limiting beliefs, the things that kept me chained up to older identities, old timelines, spirit attachments, codependencies, addictions, etc. There were even times where I would ask the mushroom to ignite my unconscious mind and to help illuminate my body and my astral body. And the gods, as well as the mushroom spirits, would do so. So I'm a huge supporter of psychedelics personally. This is not medical advice, but I personally am a huge supporter of them. And I do agree with a lot of the research that's been put out about them. So they've been really helpful for me personally. I can't speak for everyone. I can only say that I would 100% recommend it if you're into this type of alchemy. Other things that have definitely helped have been exercise. Exercise is really important, especially light exercise, if I must say, like walking meditations, and really letting the body take over, because we sit so much now as a species. And, we need to get those nadis in the legs active. We need to awaken those energy channels again. And when you do, you feel like a different person. And at some point, when you're just walking, let's say you're walking for 3 hours, your body, those spirits in your body, the Goetia, the Jinn, they'll just take over. Like, it'll just be automatic. And while your body is doing its thing, that energy will rise and it'll allow you to see into the higher realms. And as you're seeing into the higher realms, you'll be able to see yourself from the higher realms. And in a way, you'll be able to integrate more awareness when you're in that state. You can do the same thing with running too. I know a lot of people that do running as a form of accessing that state, Sometimes it's even more potent because there's more blood pumping and they're literally doing breath work while they're running. So it can give a very euphoric energy. You can start to get more clairvoyant visions. It's a much more direct way of doing it, doing running combined with breath work, combined with visualization. I've had amazing experiences with that alone. Other things that can really help with this demonic integration are fasting. So when you fast, you uproot a lot of the programs and spirits in your body. The first time I did a 72-hour fast, I was losing my mind. And I lost a lot of weight. My body was in fight or flight. My body was freaking out. And I noticed I was releasing a lot of spirits. Because that was the first time I did it. I was 18. And I was releasing a lot of spirits. And it was painful. It was almost physically painful. And it was painful for them too. Because it's ancestral spirits also. There's ancestral spirit attachments, curses, etc. And when you do fasts like that, a lot of it clears out. So fasting is a great one. Fasting will show you a lot of temptations too. Jesus fasted himself, and he was met with a lot of temptations. But throughout that process, you commune with divine intelligence, and it illuminates your body, literally. It starts regenerating your DNA. It takes out broken DNA due to ketosis, broken DNA, broken timelines, fractured consciousness is renewed and restored. So it's not just a physical purge. It's a morphogenetic detox. So your quantum waveform field, your toroidal field is being detoxed when you do fasts like that. And it's ironic because it's for 72 hours. You know, like there's longer fasts too, I'm sure. But I personally did a lot of 72-hour fasts. And that's where I was able to release a lot of negative attachments and have more psychic power. In fact, some of these meditations while I would fast were pretty intense. I would notice from just my normal meditations that if I meditated for like an hour, I would start to feel some buzzing in my body, particularly in my legs. And with the fast, it would happen instantaneously. My whole body would start to buzz. And I would achieve like these really high states of consciousness, almost as if I'm on a DMT trip. And everything would just go buzzy. And I would just be in a different dimension. So your unconscious mind / your physical body / your demonic nature can be enlightened, integrated, when you're fasting and meditating. Another one is Qigong. So Tai Chi, Qigong, energy work. These are great things that unravel the unconscious mind and your demonic integration. Especially in Qigong and Tai Chi, we have the Yang channels, we have the Yin channels, we have the energy that rises up the spine, we have energy that rises from the earth, and we have energy that descends from the heavens. Right? So it's a very similar concept, same type of alchemy, very simple. And when we're doing this type of energy work, we're again cleansing those nadis, those meridians, those channels of information, emotion, personality, thought forms, right? You're shedding it all by washing it away. Another way to do this type of demonic integration work is through ritual magic. So there are obviously various forms of ritual magic, but what am I referring to? Obviously, any type of breath work, any type of spirit work is going to essentially help you learn something you don't know or achieve something you don't have. So I personally integrated the 72 demons of the Goetia into my pineal gland, and that was the ritualistic process I wanted to go through, and it took me a matter of 4 years. I think I started it back in 2021. I believe I started it back in 2021, And I recently finished it, I believe, late 2024 or this year, 2025. And it's been very restorative, if I'm going to be honest. I feel like I claimed a lot of parts of myself from the underworld and from chains I couldn't see. It also drastically increased my psychic power immensely. But honestly, anything that simply increases your energy is going to uproot a lot of that. So breath work is 100%, probably by far the most powerful and sometimes the most instant. And, there's sometimes drawbacks to that, but it's ultimately very relieving. I always feel a lot of relief and dissolving of tension and increased manifestation power when I do breath work. So I do recommend breath work. I probably recommend breath work more than psychedelics, in fact. Breath work is one of those things where you can actually tap in organically in a much shorter amount of time. Though I have noticed when doing breath work, you still have to fast and you have to have some level of sexual energy built up. Because if your stomach's full and, you're sexually completely satisfied, it just doesn't give the same charge. You don't feel the buzz. You don't really become as clairvoyant. That's just me from my experience. I feel like it puts me more to sleep because my body can't handle the voltage. But when you're more light, when you're doing intermittent fasting, you're moderately celibate, doing sexual alchemy or doing sexual alchemy with a partner without releasing your life force, you will do just fine. Another great way of achieving this type of integration is also doing ancestral work, is understanding the karma and the type of memory you inherited from your ancestors. So looking into the Earth Star chakra is really helpful. So we have a Soul Star chakra, which is known as the God chakra. And then we have an Earth Star chakra, which is the ancestral chakra. So this is the chakra that's beneath your feet. And it has kind of like a turquoise-ish color. And all your ancestral memories, ancestral karma is stored there. So when you're dealing with demonic integration, understanding your unconscious mind, that's one of the best places to look. Another great way of doing this integration work is through dream work. So getting messages from dreams, asking for messages through dreams, having a dream journal, but to also develop a dream interpretation skill. So this took me a while to develop, but the more I started to do breath work and understand how symbolism works, how the astral plane works, the more time I spent with these spirits, they taught me how to interpret certain things. And they would also help me interpret things too. So if I have a dream and I wake up in the morning, it doesn't make any sense to my logical brain, the spirit will come in that I'm working with, that I'm integrating, and the spirit will tell me this is what that means. It's just symbolic. So a symbolic process you're going through in your subconscious, the spirit can help unravel for you through dreams. And that can be very valuable because we also have to, in a way, subconsciously, symbolically understand things to fully understand something. It's not always just logical. Magicians that tend to just rely on science when it comes to magic don't usually tap in their fullest potential because the genie doesn't really operate on that type of template. It's very right brain. While having that balance is important, being too scientific about certain things can keep you in a cage. So dream interpretation, symbolism, really understanding how your brain works, that can be a huge fast track to this type of integration work. So this last piece of advice that I can think of right now, I can give you when it comes to this form of alchemy, demonic integration, is imagine yourself as the king or queen of the world. Okay? Okay? Imagine yourself as that. That you're the king of the world, queen of the world, right? Everyone respects you, bows down to you, right? Everyone you once thought was above you, you put on a pedestal, you looked up to, is now looking up to you, right? Visualize that reality. See what it would feel like. See what it would feel like to look at other people. People you deem are above you, that you think are above you, that you think are below you. The people you think you're better than, right? Like, really put yourself in those shoes. You're at the very top. At the very, very top. How would you see other people? Because when you see other people from that point of view, you're also looking at parts of your unconscious mind. See, when you're a king, you're connected to the 33rd degree consciousness. So that's why the crowns are known to be purple or violet. Violet is the color of royalty. Purple, violet is royalty. So you're seeing as the North Star. So if you were to see from above, you would be looking at humanity, every stage of humanity, every kind of human, every kind of spirit. And from that point of view, you see everything. You see all. You see the cycle of life, the wheel of life. So it's essentially seeing from the higher chakras, okay, connecting to the pole star. The pole star, Polaris, is the star of royalty. And Polaris is the pineal gland. It's the crown chakra of the universe. Polaris extends itself into everything and everywhere. So when you look from that eye as the king of reality, as the king of the universe, you really get to see which parts of yourself you don't see. Are you being too harsh with yourself, with other people? Are you too judgmental? If you were the king of the universe, what type of universe would it be? Right? That's the type of gnosis you start tapping into when you look from this lens. Because the Earth Star is the tail of the serpent, the tail of the Naga. But the North Star is the eye of the dragon. It's the eye of the Naga. So keep that in mind. You know, we are integrating this lower energy, but ultimately it's raising itself into the heavens, into the North Star, into Polaris, into the pineal gland. So when you have this demonic integration, you start to look at your reptilian brain or humanity that's still stuck on Earth in their physical body, in their quote-unquote demonic DNA, in their purgatory DNA. You start looking at them as the North Star. Okay? You start looking at them from the eyes of royalty. And you don't look down upon them. You have compassion. You have love. You have understanding. It's a very unconditional love. Polaris has a type of healing energy. And it's very unconditionally loving, unconditionally accepting. Everything comes back to the eye. Everything comes back to Polaris. So the whole point of this demonic integration is to understand the type of hellscape humanity came from after the fall of Adam and Eve, so that you can fully appreciate the light of Polaris, the light of unconditional love, divine sight, and your balanced, sustained nature in heaven, so that you can appreciate the kingdom of God on earth. We did not fall from heaven because something was missing and we had to go somewhere else. We fell from heaven because we thought something was missing. So let that sink in. Sometimes when we're on this path in the 3D matrix, we think we have to solve a lot of problems in the external world, but most often than not, it's more about integrating your own unconscious mind And once you do that, you're already in a completely different reality, and those problems become irrelevant. So be the king of your reality. Be the king of the universe. Not from a tyrannical place, okay? With love, with compassion. The type of God you would want to live under, okay? That's the type of energy you should aspire to be, naturally. That's what everyone would want. And by connecting with this higher consciousness, connecting with the pole star, illuminating your body, illuminating your earth star, illuminating your earthly reality, your physical reality, you will integrate your demonic nature with ease, with grace, with guidance, with great counsel, and you will be, in a sense, at the top of the world. You will be the light of the world. So that is all I have to say regarding demonic integration. If I'm to be honest, I think I covered it very well. I'm sure there are other things you can do to integrate it better, and if there is, I will definitely make another video on this. And if there is, I will definitely make another video regarding this topic. So if you like this video, like, share, and subscribe. Your comments, your feedback, your questions are always appreciated. Leave them in the comment section below. And don't forget to check out the Temple Patreon to gain access to exclusive spells and incantations from the Anunnaki, from Enki. You can find the link to the Patreon in the description below. And till next time.